In this video, we are going to fill out some note sheets that have important information that you will need to be successful in Unit 1, One Variable Statistics. The first learning target in this unit is target 1A. It's represent data and plots on a real number line with dot plots, histograms, and box plots. A dot plot will look something like this, and we'll get into this specifics later, but a dot plot measures data by having a single dot for every data point, and will look something like this. A histogram is related to the bar chart, and it will have bars that are all connected. And we'll get into more of the specifics of that, but a histogram will have connected bars. Then there is a box plot, also known as a box and whisker plot. This is because this type of plot will have a box with a line through it and two lines that are called the whiskers. So there is a specific way to get this, but this is what a box plot will look like. And this is important to know when you're making, in particular, a box plot. They have a 5-number summary. The 5-number summary includes the minimum, which we call the min, the Q1, the median, which I will abbreviate MED, Q3, and the maximum. Now Q1 and Q3, Q will stand for quartile, which will represent 1/4 of the data. So these are the notes you need to have when you start Unit 1 for learning target 1A. I would pause the video and take these notes so you have them for later. The second learning target for Unit 1 is 1B. In this learning target says that you will need to use statistics appropriate to the shape of data distribution to compare center and spread for 2 different data sets. Now, the important part here is center and spread. Now, to do that, we have to know the shapes that data can take. Okay, a symmetric shape is going to be identical on either side. It is often in a consistent shape. It has equal amounts of data on either side. Okay, and when data is symmetric, the mean will equal the median. And that is important to note. When data is symmetric, it will equal the mean, and the median will equal each other. Okay, when data is bell-shaped, it also takes a symmetrical look, but it has this specific bell shape. Bell-shaped data is symmetrical or symmetrical-like, and so that means that the mean will equal the median in this case. Now, symmetric data does not have to be bell-shaped, but bell-shaped data will be symmetric. If I had a straight line, that would be symmetric, or a box here, that would be symmetric, but it would not be bell-shaped. Uniform data can also be symmetric. Uniform data often looks like this. It's flat data. So if you can imagine everything being the same height, that is uniform. Now, uniform, because it is all the same, the mean will also equal the median, but this will be non-conclusive. Okay, in this unit, we are going to be mostly talking about symmetric bell-shaped data or skewed data. So those are which ones you should take into account. Bimodal just means that it has two high points. Bi means two, and modal means what is the mode, what happens the most often. So this type of data often almost looks like two bell shapes, but you can see where it has two high points in the data. Now, skewed left data, skewed left makes you think that is where all the data would be, but skewed left is where we're going to measure our tail. So when data is skewed left, it's going to have a tail of data to the left and a large portion of the data piled on one side. The skew is always in the direction of the tail. So this is skewed left. When something is skewed left, the median, so the median will be in the center of, be where the most data is, but the mean will pull in the direction of the tail. Okay, so this means that the median is going to be, the mean is going to be less than the median when the data is skewed left. Now, skewed right has the tail that veers off to the right because the data is skewed to the right, which means the mean is, and it will look like this. We will go into what causes this to happen, but right now you just need to know that this is what skewed right looks like. The tail goes to the right, and the median is going to be where most of the data is, and the mean will be pulled in the direction of the tail. So the median will be here, and the mean will be here, and you can see that the mean is going to be greater than the median. So those are the types of distribution shapes that you need to be familiar with in this unit. Now we are going to talk about measures of center. There are two main measures of center in this unit, and they are the mean and the median. Okay. The mean is an average. Okay. An average is found by taking all of the things and adding them up and dividing by the amount. So the mean is an average of all the numbers or all data. The median just measures wherever the middle is. The median is the exact middle of the data if you were to line everything up. So that is, it just measures the exact middle. By counting. Okay. There are a few things you need to know. So the mean is highly affected by outliers. And the median is not very affected by outliers. So those are measure of center. They measure where the middle is. So these measure where the center is. Measures of center. Okay, So those are one way that we find what is the average of the data. But the other thing we have to measure when we are doing data is the measures of spread. This is also called variability. So the measures of spread kind of match to our measures of center. If you are using the mean, you're going to be using a measure of variability called standard deviation. Okay. This is abbreviated SD very often, so you'll see me do that. Standard deviation is very much like the mean, and that is in that it is highly affected by outliers. But the standard deviation is the average of all the other data points from the mean. So it takes wherever the mean is. If this is the mean, it takes all the distances from all the other points and takes that average, and then squares the sum of the differences. You will not need to know how to find this, but you will need to know how to interpret it. So it measures all those distances and takes an average of them. So it finds basically the average distance away from the center. The closer things are to the center, the lower the standard deviation. The further things are away from the center, the higher the standard deviation. Then the median will has a measurement of variability as well. It is called usually called IQR. It's usually always abbreviated. I will probably always call it IQR. This stands for interquartile range. Okay, and this is found under 1B, and you will be able to find the chart that gives you the formulas to write in here. I will also use the formulas when we are finding outliers. So the interquartile range is just going to be your Q3 minus your Q1. And it, very much like the median, is not that affected by outliers. I am going to move this paper up so we can do the last note for target 1B for unit 1. If you need to, you can pause the video at any point and take these notes, and then continue to watch the video. So here is an important thing to note when you are talking about variability and spread of data. Okay, so the higher the variability, the more the spread is. Okay, so the higher the variability is, the wider the data is, the more it's spread out. The lower the variability, the less spread out the data is. It is more dependable, it is more reliable, it is clustered around the center. And this is all the notes you will need for Learning Target 1B, Unit 1. Okay, these will be the notes for 1C, Learning Target 1C, which has to deal with outliers and comparing these differences in the data. So here are the outlier formulas. There will be examples of this in later videos, but I would write these down so that you have them in your notes to use on the assessments and for the required practice quizzes as we move along.